In the quiet suburb of Maplewood, the rising sun cast a warm glow over a home that once radiated happiness. Michael and Sarah, a couple whose love had faded under the weight of anger and resentment, now lived in a house filled with tension. Their son, Ethan, a bright-eyed 7-year-old, was often caught in the crossfire of his parents' bitter arguments. One evening, the air was thick with hostility. Michael and Sarah stood in the kitchen, voices raised, their words sharp as knives. "You need to control yourself, Michael." Sarah's voice trembled, a mix of fear and frustration. "You don't understand. You never have," Michael shouted, rage boiling over. The argument escalated, and in a moment of blind fury, Michael crossed a line he could never return from. The silence that followed was deafening. Days passed, and the house felt like a tomb. Michael was lost in a haze of guilt, haunted by the memory of that fateful night. He had buried Sarah in a pit behind their home, desperate to hide his crime. While he went through the motions of daily life, Ethan remained blissfully unaware. "Where's Mommy?" Ethan would occasionally ask, his innocent eyes searching for answers. Michael would force a smile, his heart racing. "She's just busy, sweetheart," he lied, each word feeling like a dagger in his chest. As the days turned into weeks, the absence of Sarah weighed heavily on him. Ethan would draw pictures, sometimes depicting a woman with a sad smile. Michael couldn't bear to look at them. One evening, as they sat on the couch, the unease in the room thickened. Ethan turned to his father, a serious expression on his face. "Papa, why do you keep carrying Mommy around on your shoulders?" Michael's breath caught in his throat. "What do you mean, buddy?" Ethan tilted his head, his innocence now tinged with something deeper. "I see you walking around like that sometimes, when you're sad." Chills ran down Michael's spine. "I don't carry her, Ethan." "But I hear her, whispering," Ethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. The room grew colder, shadows flickering in the corners of Michael's vision. He shook his head, trying to dismiss the creeping dread. Days turned into a cycle of dread and paranoia. Michael began to see fleeting glimpses of Sarah in reflections and shadows. Whispers echoed in his mind, taunting him, gnawing at his sanity. "You can't hide from me, Michael," Sarah's voice echoed, her tone both mournful and accusing. One night, unable to sleep, Michael sat on the edge of his bed, the weight of his guilt suffocating. He glanced over at Ethan, who slept soundly, completely unaware of the darkness that loomed over them. The following morning, Michael decided to confront his guilt. He walked to the pit in the backyard, the very spot where he had buried Sarah. Kneeling before it, he spoke into the stillness. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I didn't mean to." Suddenly, he felt a presence behind him. He turned, heart racing, to find Ethan standing there, his eyes wide and serious. "Papa, why are you talking to the ground?" Ethan asked, confusion etching his young face. Michael stammered, panic rising in his chest. It's nothing, Ethan. Just thinking." But as the days passed, the whispers grew louder, and Michael's grip on reality began to slip. He could feel Sarah's presence around him, her spirit haunting him in ways he couldn't comprehend. One evening, as they prepared for bed, Ethan approached Michael, his face unusually somber. "Papa, can we play with Mommy?" he asked, his voice laced with innocence. The question sent a chill down Michael's spine. "Ethan, Mommy can't play right now." "But I've always known, Papa," Ethan replied, a strange smile creeping across his face. Michael's heart raced. What did Ethan know? He felt a wave of dread wash over him, realizing that his son might see more than he understood. In a moment of desperation, Michael decided to dig up the pit, believing that facing the truth would somehow free him from the torment. As he dug, sweat pouring down his face, the whispers became louder, more insistent. "You'll never escape me." Sarah's voice echoed in his mind, filled with rage. Finally, he uncovered her body, horror flooding his senses. He stumbled back, gasping, the reality of his actions crashing down on him like a tidal wave. As he stood there, shaking, Ethan appeared behind him again, his expression unnervingly calm. "Now we can all be together, Papa," he said softly. Michael turned to Ethan, terror gripping him. "What do you mean, Ethan?" Ethan's eyes darkened, a chilling understanding glimmering within them. "I've always known, Papa." In that moment, the weight of his guilt and the horror of his reality settled in, and Michael realized he was trapped, forever haunted by the very shadows he had tried to bury. The house grew silent, but the whispers remained, echoing through the darkness, binding them together in a twisted fate.